Thinksipwrite.
Here we are.
Here we are.
Are we going back to school?
We are going back to school.
Mm-hmm.
See, I had a meeting today with my daughter's teachers, and we were just discussing things and the
With
quarter
your
stuff.
daughter's teachers?
Well, our daughter's teachers, and just discussing things and progressing throughout the year and everything.
Mm-hmm.
She's awesome, and so we thought, well, why not? Let's talk about
school.
What are the positives and negatives of going to school? And not really negatives. I mean, we know I don't know. I'm a little off key.
I don't know if there's negatives. I mean, there are, growing and going to class. Like sometimes you want to go to school because you're either being lazy, you don't feel like doing homework. Now actually as an adult, I actually miss school. Like,
I do too.
I actually loved, not like going to class all the time, but I loved like projects. Like I love doing projects. They were my favorite. Like I could ace them. I love doing projects. But going to school, sometimes you just don't want to wake up in the morning. They're human beings. They get tired too.
But how much is school? And I'm not necessarily talking about college, because college, I mean, you're going for a particular thing. Although college, it's funny.
But college, you're an adult. You're making a decision. If you don't go to that class, that's either on your parents' finance or on you. Like you're the one that's paying for that.
Even with colleges and universities, they give you a certain. They give you electives that you could take, right? Mm-hmm. Which, that's just to get a certain amount of points. The electives might not necessarily have anything to do with your degree.
Right.
And then, you talk about like math and stuff like that you might not need for your degree.
Right.
But are applicable in real life. Mm-hmm. But we're talking more along the lines of like growing up,
and
grade school, middle school, even high school.
Yeah.
So how much of that do we use in everyday life? Or do we use it at all? I mean,
that's a great question.
It is. I know it's a great question because I thought of it. But everybody else has thought of that too. So
I'm sure. I mean, it's a common, I think, conversation. It's a topic that I think people talk about. Like especially key number one, math. I sucked at math. I was awful. I would have fights with my dad probably almost every night. Like I just didn't like it. I hated it. And I feel like when it was time for me to get tested, like for multiplication or division, like back in the day, they used to put the kids all up against the wall, and we used to go through.
Yeah, we were hardcore back then.
It was like crazy.
Hardcore.
Or like the teacher would call on you, and she would go, "What's 10 times 5?" And you had to 50. Like
you had to know it.
And
it's like the kids don't memorize their times tables now.
Right. But I don't remember.
We're making ours memorize it.
I don't remember using flashcards.
I didn't use flashcards. We had to memorize it.
Memorize it like a song.
Flashcards really help though. But all of that aside, do you now, as an adult, use math in everyday life?
Yes.
Okay.
I do, because first off, obviously with cooking and creating recipes, that's a key thing. You have to learn a lot of that. I think just in general too, with like when you're going food shopping, there's a lot of kids that are working in the supermarket. They have no idea how to give you change if there's not something in front of them, or because a lot of people use credit cards.
Yeah.
They don't know how to give you change without using.
No, they don't. And math is something that I absolutely use it every day. I mean, if you're going out to dinner, and you go to leave a tip.
But I do have to say, I will use a tip calculator.
Well, you
especially
can. I do it all in my head.
In a group of people, I'll be like, okay.
If you're breaking it down like that,
but just to make it easier.
But math, I mean, now see, I was completely opposite. I aced my SATs in math.
My dad was the same way. You and my dad had a battle that one time.
Yeah. I mean, I didn't need to, I wasn't required to take math in college, so I took it as an elective just to fill that spot because I knew I could do it.
Well, aren't you the genius?
No, I'm not trying to do it like that. I mean, I am a genius and all, but I'm not, I'm not saying it like that. But it's
just your own horn.
But I do. I use math every day. I mean, when I was building stuff in the basement, build our extra room down there, tipping, just figuring out simple things here and there and counting money, like you said.
And now, thank God, you do know your math more than I do, because you help the kids with their crazy math, because I feel like the math is, I don't get half
Well,
of it
I'll tell you
sometimes.
what. No, well, and our kids are thankfully not learning Common Core, but the Common Core, I looked at that and I was confused.
Right.
I was lost.
Yeah, but some of the things that they're like, what was one of the things that I was like, you need to do this?
Word problems.
Not word problems. The fractions. Oh my God.
Yeah, fractions they can get rough.
I hate. And I remember sitting with my dad and he would be like, you don't get this? It's like right in front of you. And I feel
Here's a funny story. So when Roberta started out her whole cooking thing, I mean, on a professional scale, I remember her turning to me and going, so
I mean, how many years ago was this?
It was years ago. I mean, this is before you actually decided to, do your homemade
was
dish thing. But
10 years ago. This is
I think
before
it's
we
more
had
than that.
kids.
I think it's
12
more than that.
years ago.
But she was standing in the kitchen, and I can't remember what she was measuring, but you asked me for
It was
like
a quarter or
what was a-
3/4 or...
what was a third, 2/3 of a cup, or something like that. And I'm like, what are you talking about? And you're like, how do I measure that? And I'm like, what are you talking about?
First off, I get very... I don't know if it's just from growing up and speaking another language. I know math has nothing to do with that. But
You're right.
I get
You're
very
right, it doesn't.
confused. No, I get very confused with like certain things. Like my mind is trying to process different things, and I know that math is the same in every country.
It's okay. You're smart in other ways. Lots of
Whatever.
ways.
I hate math. I don't like it.
Well, the funny thing is, you use math all the time with your cooking.
I do, but
and
it's
everything.
because
So it's like...
It's something interesting to me, so it's fun. It's like an artistic thing. But like you said, back in the day, like when I was doing something, I was like, wait, what? But everybody gets a brain fart.
Yeah.
I mean, there's some times when you're typing and you're like, wait, what's that word that I'm looking for? What is that word?
Yeah.
Going into reading and spelling and grammar.
Yeah.
You use that on a daily basis. You
Yeah.
write and you know.
Well, yeah, and that's another thing. Like, how much of that do you use? Like English, we put all that together, right?
Mm-hmm.
English, reading.
Yeah. That was
Language
another
arts.
subject I wasn't extremely bad at, but I still had some struggles because speaking and reading and writing in a whole complete other language, and you're trying to...
You have an excuse.
Yeah, but at the same time, I should not have an excuse because I should know the difference. But in the Brazilian language, in the Portuguese language, when you're writing, you use certain asterisks and certain things that you add to letters and stuff.
Yeah, like the German alphabet has the umlaut, which is the two dots.
Yeah, right. Right.
You get all that.
Right. We use those kind of things. And, and I actually went to Brazil and I went to school. I finished high school there. So to me, it was like, whoa, like totally different,
Well, and it's a different story, too. Like, now, I use it obviously all the time because of my writing.
Mm-hmm.
But even me, when my books go to the editor and the editor's like, what the heck? What? People don't talk like that. And I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
well,
you're speaking the way you usually speak.
yeah,
right?
Well,
When you're
no,
writing,
see,
don't you do that?
And the one editor gets it and goes, people don't talk like that. But yes, they do.
Mm-hmm.
But the comment is that's not proper English,
Right?
And yes, I realize that certain things are not proper English. So we've come to an understanding that if it's dialogue, it does not necessarily have to be proper English.
Mm-hmm.
Writing it is a whole different story.
Right.
I mean, English, Now, how do you feel about spelling? I mean, I know you're not very
I mean,
good at spelling.
I actually take my time more now than I think I ever have with spelling certain things, but I'm still very insecure. I'm insecure in both languages, with writing and sometimes even speaking, because I feel like I mix things up and stuff like that. That's one of my insecurities, I think, with that. Like, I'm not 100%. Everybody has that, and I felt like even in school, like grammar, with punctuations and certain things. But I don't know if that's just me. I don't know if other people out there have that same issue,
Yeah, I mean...
It was never my strong suit, but I never failed at it. I was always up there, but I never got an A+. I would get an A or a B or,
Yeah.
but never anything lower than that.
Spelling was another one of my strong suits, and I mean, thankfully today it is. You know what bugs me the most, though? and everybody uses English, and everybody in the U.S. that's speaks English is using it. So what bugs me the most is things like there, and there. Like
I have an issue.
I have a big problem with people who do not understand the difference. And
but my
two,
issue,
2 and 2.
But you know what?
I'm still a better editor than Siri or whoever you're typing to when you're.
Well, technology is. I mean, when you speak into your phone and you tell it to write a sentence.
Oh, I do it all the time.
Now, will she write?
Well, it's funny because
I want to, or I'm here, or or what can you say? Like, there we are. Will she put like how?
I spend a great deal of my day, if I'm not writing, conceptualizing what I'm going to do in a chapter for the book. Dialogue, that comes all when I'm driving a car. So when I'm driving a car, I hit record on my phone, and I literally talk to myself. Now, I used to just hit record. Now, to save space, because audio files take up more space, I will have a text message in the notepad to myself.
Right.
And I'll hit the record button, or not the record, the text to speech or speech to text button, and I will literally say the dialogue, and then when I get home and I look at it, a lot of the times it's I'm like, what the heck was I trying to say there? And then I realize,
Right, but that's what I mean. Like, technology is not that perfect yet, where it's actually understanding every physical thing that you're saying.
Right.
Even when you're typing something out, like, that's why we do spell check and stuff like that, because sometimes it's not coming out correctly.
Well, so the technology goes into science. I mean, how much do you use science?
Yeah. Science is in cooking.
Cooking. It is a science.
Yeah.
With the one job that I have, the tech line, they mix chemicals and different things to make plastics and rubbers and realistic simulations. I mean, it's all.
Now, I loved science. I aced science.
I loved science. I still do. I'm fascinated.
And I'm never going to forget, I don't know what it is, but my 6th grade teacher, I still remember Mr. Medrick. He was pretty awesome. He was weird, but he was awesome. Like, his certain things that he did.
I remember a lot of my teachers. You know what's funny? This is a whole different tangent. I remember all my teachers, right? Just about. For some reason, I can't remember my 4th grade teacher. And it bothers me. Because I clearly remember all my teachers before and after 4th grade.
Maybe you just blocked that all out.
4th grade was the year that I had to get glasses. And it was
so you kind of wanted to forget that year, maybe?
I think it was the year that the Challenger exploded. And I don't really remember a whole lot else from that year. So I don't know. I hate that. But what about social studies and history?
Yes. History was one of my favorites. I feel like social studies is kind of in that same, right? Social studies, history.
I mean, you know what's funny? I hated social studies.
Really?
And history. I loved history. I loved the concept. I loved,
How did you do in tests?
I was horrible.
Really?
That was the only subject that I was not acing.
See, I felt like, I don't know if my history teachers and my social studies teachers were good, that it made it interesting to us.
My high school history teacher talked
See, that
like
just
this.
makes it, I think that
He didn't even talk about history. He talked about his freaking history.
I just feel like that makes it boring. When a teacher is teaching something, I feel like the more interesting they are, the more the kids are going to be interested in it.
Absolutely.
Right? Like, so for history and social studies, like, a lot of our teachers would take us, like, on field trips and stuff like that, and then we would get tested on, like, things that we saw, and, like, there was the one year the one teacher did that. It was really cool. At the museums, she would say, like, we're going to have a quiz, and I want to see who was paying attention, and who was reading what, See,
that's cool. That's an interactive experience. I'm going to say my junior year history teacher at junior year high school, I learned more from Harrison Ford in the Indiana Jones movies about history. And you know how flawed they are. I love them. But I learned more from Harrison Ford about history than I did from my junior year.
Yeah, but I feel like if you're learning what you really like, I think you're going to do well at it. I think you're going to excel at it.
But it was
why is math so intriguing to you? You love numbers. You love
Right. Now,
Right.
but do you use that in
History?
your... Yeah.
And social studies?
Mm-hmm. Do you use it? I mean, like, actually, like, use it.
Well, I mean, I like to know the history of certain cooking things. I mean, there's history.
So there you go.
There's
That
history.
counts.
I mean, there's history in food in
They
general.
don't really teach you about the history of that in school unless you're taking a culinary history thing.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes they
Although,
touched upon
I mean, in
some
social
things.
studies, they did teach like certain grains and certain things that are picked and harvested, like, you know, like with grapes and stuff like that. Like,
But you do. I mean, okay, well, I can tie you into it further, okay? They may not have taught that, but we've all learned about George Washington, Martha Washington. One of your first things,
Yeah,
your
I got
first
to go
major
to
things was you got to actually pick up
Yeah, you
and
went with
hold
me.
Martha Washington's cookbook.
I remember not even wanting to touch it.
I remember I
because-
had Thomas Jefferson's note pages,
Yeah,
and I was afraid to touch
yeah.
them.
They put you in a special like
put us in a
area.
special- it was so
and
cool.
I'm surprised they didn't give us gloves though.
Yeah,
to,
but
like, touch that.
they had like that thing that you had to dip your fingers in. And,
Yeah, yeah.
you know, so it was kind of like I guess it was like a wax or something for your
Yeah.
fingers. But I use it all the time now. You know, history has become a huge part of my novels,
Mm-hmm.
and I tie the real world and past events into the novels. So
Mm-hmm.
I love history. I could sit there and watch documentaries.
But isn't
all
that
day.
funny though?
Right. It has become my most fascinating
But I
subject
think it's
as an adult.
because you did not have interesting teachers teaching
Absolutely.
you.
I'm teaching myself about history and
I mean, I get it.
remember
Like, a lot of
things.
people, like, don't want to hear the same. Because I feel like every grade, like, when you go through it, it's, like, somewhat the same
You know what it was? You know what it was for me?
and, like,
It was memorizing, and I went to 12 years of Catholic school.
Mm-hmm.
It was a lot of memorizing of dates. It was memorizing of who was what number president. Yeah, I remember Lincoln was the 16th. You know, I remember the
I
key
mean,
ones.
memorizing the presidents is pretty tough because, you know, there's so many. But
But what's the
I
point?
thi- I
What is
think-
the point of memorizing?
I think, I know, but it's if you are interested, it's interesting to you. Like, you know, memorizing dates for
no
certain
kid
things.
in 5th grade is that.
No
interested.
kid likes math. Like, you know.
That's not true.
But
That
that's
is
what I'm
not-
saying.
I loved math.
But that's what I'm saying. You loved it.
Well,
I
no
loved.
kid. I was a kid. At one
I
point.
loved history.
I was a
Like,
kid.
I know, but that's what I'm saying. Not a lot of kids do. You just said no kids like history. I loved history. I was one of those
I
kids
know, no.
that liked it.
I said no kid likes to memorize dates. There's a difference. I liked
Yes,
history.
but
it
if
was
you-
destroyed for me at an early age.
Yeah, but if you like history that much when you were younger, you would enjoy memorizing certain dates.
Yeah.
I remember getting the timelines and certain things and projects that we had to do. I was like so into it. Ask me now, I probably won't really remember a lot of those things because, you know, but I mean, I enjoyed it. I thought it was, I don't know.
When a kid's
I would
now-
watch documentaries. My mom would be like, "What are you watching?" I loved animal documentary, anything with like animals and stuff.
Oh
in it
yeah,
too.
well yeah, and that's part of the social
Egypt.
studies and
Oh my god,
geography and
I
stuff
was
like that.
obsessed with that history, like that
yeah.
stuff. But
Yeah, but the stuff that was really fun like that, I feel like I never really got to learn that in school. They always taught things that you didn't.
well,
it's
it was more like the presidents and like the Civil War and,
and
the
the history of the
Revolutionary
country
War
is
and
fascinating to
World
me too.
War One. Like, you know,
I love it.
Yeah.
As an adult, that is one of my fascinations. But it just
the British War. Like,
it was just
you know,
not fun
certain
as a
things
kid.
were. But you know what I found that was interesting to me? This is the way I kind of made it interesting, is I would go to the library and I would find certain books that were appealing to me or magazines or something that I found, or even the tape with books. Something where I found that would be interesting for me to listen to, like the Revolutionary War. I would listen to that and I think it would kind of capture, because I'm very visual as well, so I kind of need to see or hear or feel things
Oh, yeah.
for me to
Oh,
understand.
yeah.
For me to like understand like what happened, or like movies or something. Like, I just, you know.
No, I agree. Now then there's the other things like the arts and everything that come into it, and
Oh, art was so much fun.
I mean,
Loved
your
art.
part of your thing is presentation, so that's art. I'm a musician, so I still use music.
Playing with food, yeah, it's just art in general.
One thing we really didn't grow up with was computers. You know, we got it.
I did. You're older than me.
Not that much older. I think junior year of high school, we had a typewriting class. And
oh my God, you never had computer class?
No. Not.
What?
No, they didn't have it. They didn't have it.
Well, you are 4 years older than me.
We had computers, but they could only do typing. So,
I had computers in high school.
So, like, I remember sitting there in junior year of high school and going like this.
I had computers in high school. I think when was...
Now I can do it. No problem.
Trying to think, in middle school, did I have computers?
You probably had it, yeah.
Yeah, there was Windows, 92. What was it? Windows what? Windows 96?
It was Windows 3.0 or whatever it was. The first Windows.
AOL.
Bing! Yeah.
Yeah, Messenger. Yeah. When I was in high school, there was definitely...
Even when I was a freshman in college.
But you had to wait, remember?
Yeah.
With AOL when you used to use it.
It was the modem.
Yeah. Right. And then it's and then it would go, boom, and then you're connected, and then my mom would get on the phone and be like, I can't use the phone, get off of the internet.
Your mom would dial you up on the whatever. I don't even know what I was gonna say. See,
dial me up on what? What are you bringing back history?
Because your mom's in Brazil, so I was. Just
my mom was here.
Oh, she was here.
Yes.
And she was still using a crank phone like that?
No. You pick up the phone, the wireless phone.
You pick up on it. It's okay.
No. What you just said, that's stupid. Doesn't make any sense.
You're stupid.
At all.
Speaking of stupid.
Makes no sense
Street smarts. School does not teach street smarts. Maybe when we were kids. Yeah, okay. I mean, we always...
Where did you get your street smarts from? Suburban kids?
We still got in fights behind the shopping bag.
What does a fight mean? Street smarts do not come with fighting, kids.
No, it does not. It does not. It comes with your head. But you have to also learn how to defend yourself. They are now teaching the kids that if somebody pushes you or punches you,
tattletale.
You turn around and you run to a teacher and tell them.
And
it's not how the real world works.
But that's the thing. It's not all about fighting. That's not
you need to think with your head first.
Technical term of street smarts. Technical terms of street smarts means you hustle. You're hustling to get your wet to the next point. You're playing basketball. You think you're gonna win because you're doing this or you're doing
it's a collective. You're
right. There's so much to street. It's not just fighting. Let me fight you.
It's not what I was getting at. But I mean, they don't That's just something that school doesn't teach. That's a whole other bunch of subjects.
And street smarts, when people say, "Oh, this is street smarts," you have to learn math. You got to learn how to interchange, with certain situations. If somebody owes you money or something, can I borrow $10? Yeah, I'm gonna come back for it, or something like that.
That goes back to math, but I mean.
But that's what I'm saying. Street smarts come with.
It goes into everything.
Yeah, you need to know how to. If you're gonna walk the walk, you better talk the talk. That's all I'm saying.
Oh man!
I'm just saying, you need to know that. Don't come into the streets thinking because you know this, you better know how to speak that. I'm just saying. What?
You're right.
I'm just saying.
It's funny.
What?
No, it's just funny. But you're right. So anyway, we want to know what your favorite subject was, and if you use it today, is there anything you use today from school? Is there anything you absolutely think?
There's probably some accountants out there. You should have been an accountant. You love math.
But I love math, but I don't want to do it for.
There any Scientologists?
No, I love accountants because they do all our tax stuff and their tax stuff and your tax stuff.
I do the taxes.
Yes, I know, but
how does that make any sense? The person doesn't really know how to do math.
This is no offense to any accountant, but I have too much personality to be an accountant.
Oh!
Hate me, don't hate her. I can't sit there and do that all day.
Then are you saying that they're smarter than you?
I give them all the credit in the world for doing what they do because I can do just about anything.
I can't do that job. Math with doing taxes with TurboTax. Not a paid sponsor.
Maybe you should have held that back until they sponsored us for this.
Dude, that would have been great.
And then said it. Because it is tax time.
It is tax time.
So don't forget,
Get
you
your
have till
taxes.
April 15th. Anyway, I think on that note,
Cheers.
cheers.